Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes, and welcome back to the Yo Video Games podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Mr. Boombastic.
All right, thank you, Shaggy, and thank you to all our generous patrons who've kept us going for 312 episodes.
Yeah, if you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames. Dude of the week is Lash Logan.
Thank you, Lash Logan.
Thank you. As always, we have a sponsor to thank as well, Manscaped. And right now, there's, of course, all the big sales were last week, but you can go back to using our code YoVG at manscaped.com and get a look at all the new products that are out. They sent me body wash. It's actually, the body wash is probably of the two, the one that I will use the most because I don't have a lot of hair.
So this is interesting because, you know, that's everyone knows what a Manscaped is to keep your junk fresh and trimmed, but you know they've got other stuff too. And I noticed that from the beginning where they're like, hey, you know, we have a cologne and we have other things as well, like the body wash. So, and I believe a lip balm as well or something.
Yeah, I'm not a big lip balm man, and they sent me one to try.
Some people are, though. I mean,
people are down with it. It's got eucalyptus. No, I've been doing it for the last 2 days because it's windy and it felt like a good excuse to be rubbing things. Look, it's not easy to be a dude and not feel a little bit weird just like gently caressing your lips in public. I don't know if that's just like a me thing.
Yeah, and if and hey, you know, if you want your partner to be gently caressing, you know, your sack, make sure it's trimmed, neat, and smells great, which you will get with the Crop Reviver and the Crop Preserver.
Well, here's the here's the interesting thing about that. The Crop Reviver and the Crop Preserver both pretty like strong smells. And I decided to do a little bit of research so that I wouldn't be
pleasant smells.
Yeah, but strong scents. Yes, they're good scents, but strong. And so there's a thing in like scents with like cologne and stuff like that. Like summer, you wear lighter scents, and winter you wear heavier scents, that kind of thing, right? So with body wash, you want. Yeah, I know. I decided to read up on it, so I wasn't saying any bullshit. I was actually telling the truth.
It's just.
So with body wash, it's a lighter scent because it goes over more surface area, so that way it doesn't overwhelm, right? Mm-hmm. But it's complementary to the Crop Preserver scent, which is a heavier scent because obviously you want it to last longer.
So you're getting a hyper combo.
Yeah,
with the body. So the body wash has a. What kind of scent does the body wash have? I'm curious.
It's pretty interesting. It's pretty similar to the Crop Preserver. And the Crop Reviver. So you're going to have
sort of like foresty or...
Yeah, I would say it's got like that. It's very masculine, foresty.
Outdoorsy.
Yeah. It's pretty nice. The thing that I noticed is I really went for it. So the shampoo is a little bit stronger, similar scent profile. Then body wash is lighter. And then, you know, you use the Crop Reviver, and basically it all blends together so that you just kind of smell good. And it's got like a more complex scent. You have a stronger nose than me, so me being like, oh, scent profiles, it's not bullshit. He can tell the differences. But like
I do have a really frustratingly good smell. Like good. My smell recently was we went to pick up some food on the way back from shopping last weekend, and you know, I wanted to go. There was one store I wanted to go to, but it was a little bit too far away, so I went to the one that was closer because everyone else was going to a seafood restaurant. And I just went to the thing next door because I don't really like seafood. But I walked in to, like, you know, just meet up with them and get all our stuff and go. And just walking into the seafood restaurant, I was almost gagging, and it wasn't even really. I wouldn't even say it was like, oh my gosh, it was terrible in there. It was just like, my God, the aroma of fish.
Seafood's got a strong scent, man.
Yeah, man, it really does. And I mean, so you don't want, you know, as long as, you know, you don't want your partners to be smelling like that, you know, when you're bringing in the holidays, you know, this Christmas and New Year's. So that's why you want the Crop Reviver and Crop Preserver. Well, so you don't smell like a fish market.
And, you know, the joke is like smelling like a fish market, not going to get your stocking stuffed.
Exactly.
But they do actually legitimately have some pretty good stocking stuffers. Yeah, lip balm if you're a lip balm person. I can't really tell you if it's good lip balm. It seems good to me, but I don't use lip balm, so I don't want to like be like, it's really good. I don't know what good is. It feels nice. It smells pretty good. It's got eucalyptus in it, so your lips feel all tingly and stuff for a couple minutes after. But that's good stocking stuffer. My favorite stocking stuffer, which I haven't used yet, is the Crop Mop ball wipes. They're the same scent as the Reviver, and
So
this
that's
is
like so that's like when you have like some really nasty Taco Bell, and after an implosion, after a little Mount Vesuvius in your toilet, and you want to make sure you're cleaned up, but you
I'm
also
not sure
would
it's
like
for
to
the Astro.
double down. But like I'm saying is when you get a good Taco Bell, that shit goes everywhere. You might
Oh,
even get some splash damage,
oh,
depending on the water surface of your toilet. So you might need to really clean up and all around there. Like a bidet may not even be enough. You might need to like really get it there. And then hey, we're in America, so we don't really get a lot of bidets. So you got your dude, you got your wet wipes from
I
Manscaped to
was
make sure that your junk is both clean and smelling great. So
I
that
was
is a
thinking it
two for
was
one.
gonna be great for like travel, or like backpacking. You can bring it with you.
Well,
You can't
absolutely, man.
bring it hunting because you don't want animals to smell you. You're gonna smell fucking delicious. Although you actually do smell kind of foresty, so maybe I don't know. Manscaped got
It'll
a
help you
hunting
blend.
market.
It'll help you blend in.
Um, but now that we've given everyone the image of wiping your diarrhea-ridden ass with some forest smells, if you're interested in saving your horrendous war zone of an asshole from smelling that way, please go to manscaped.com. Use our code for 20% off and free shipping worldwide. And that code's YoVG, all caps. And right now, it's the perfect time to buy gifts. You're in the
That's
perfect
right.
time. Do it.
That's right. Nothing says loving under the tree like a fresh trimming.
Especially if you're trimming your tree.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, um, and I bet Shaggy probably agrees. I don't know. Lying butt naked on your bathroom floor, you don't know.
Why don't you ask him?
I'm Shaggy fan A number one on Twitter. Thank you. But yeah, so it's been a weird year. I wouldn't say that there's been. What did you call it? You called it the.
Yeah, I've been calling this the anime filler arc year.
Is, so there's been some like. I guess there's been one really exciting game for me. The anime filler year. But we'll get into more like year in review stuff towards the end of the year, like we normally do. But you mentioned something that was kind of interesting that begged a question of like, well, what's next? And we talked about what's next last episode a little bit, but how many games finished DLC in 2021?
Yeah, like at least like five or six like fighting games.
I can think
outright
of 3.
had like their last DLCs came out this year. It was really weird how like they all sort of together ended their DLCs this year. Super Smash Brothers Ultimate did. Street Fighter 5 is ending its DLC. I'm sorry, ended its DLC on November 29th. Tekken 7 did. Samurai Showdown did.
Sam Show, that's right.
I think Dragon Ball Fighters ended this year, and then Soulcalibur ended in December of last year. Like, so it barely missed the cutoff. But like, the interesting thing about all of that is that Street Fighter 5 was, I think, the oldest, and it went the longest. And Soulcalibur 6 was probably the youngest and ended the quickest. So
I have a question about that because I remember when Street Fighter 5 came out, there was a lot of unhappiness. So it must have shifted. I mean, it lasted a long time.
Yeah, so I mean, this is like a kind of like a good time to just sort of like go back and talk about all of that. Where, like Street Fighter 4 was, it was kind of like it was propped along for a while. It was the big revival for Capcom fighters, and then like there was the Ultra Street Fighter 4, which almost nobody expected. Like no one was really. Like it wasn't really rumored or leaked. It just kind of like, hey, we're doing an Ultra Street Fighter 4, and people were kind of like, what, why, and just because,
money.
just because. It got like it didn't get as like a bunch of good. I think DiCaprio was the last one, and that was after they got all the DLC from the characters they added to Street Fighter Cross Tekken, and then they brought them over to Street Fighter 4, and they brought some of the stages over to Street Fighter 4. So it was like weird how like Ultra Street Fighter 4 became this weird sort of stopgap in time. Before 5 came out, and then 5 came out, and I'm not going to mince words here, and I don't think we need to, because 5 was a fucking disaster at launch. It had a really tiny roster. It had no fucking campaign mode. That came later.
It was a disaster for at least a year after launch, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, totally.
Like,
At least a year. It started to really turn things around. I want to say like right after a year or so, because they added Akuma in, and then they added like they were kind of like, hey, we're gonna like really do something with it. I think they called it Arcade Edition. They're on Championship Edition now, but like they called it like Arcade Edition was going to be like, the sort of like we're gonna like basically prop this up. So that was some things kind of the fortunes kind of turned around for Street Fighter V was around Akuma. And his glorious hair, and Capcom gets really upset if you say Akuma Matata because he looks like a lion.
Wait, why? They get mad at Akuma Matata?
Yeah, I think they're afraid of Disney getting on their asses or something.
Because it means no worries, because you're probably dead. Akuma takes you out.
Yeah, exactly. But
Akuma's a demon, right?
It's something like that. His story it's too stupid and hard to follow at this point.
Fighting game stories. What are you doing? How many people play fighting games for the story? It's like the same people that say they watch hentai for the story.
That's a lot of people, though.
No, just because Steve thinks that Chun-Li and
way
Ryu...
more than you think. Oh my god!
Wait, seriously, the fighting game for the... I mean, I know. Don't get me wrong. I like Mortal Kombat story pieces.
I think for
MK...
Like Mortal Kombat was another one, by the way. Yeah, Mortal Kombat is definitely one where people definitely play Mortal Kombat for the campaign and the story. Because they put a lot of money into it.
They put a lot of effort into the campaign.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Street Fighter, really not so much.
But you didn't play Mortal Kombat 2 because of the story.
No, you didn't. No, not at all.
Like, you didn't get into fighting games for the fucking story.
I mean, yeah.
It's like me being like, oh, I love Road Rash. Because of the story.
So, but you know what, though? There was so much shit happened between Street Fighter V's launch and it just fucking ended. It's so much has happened since then, like in my life, in that game's life, in Capcom's life. Like fucking Ono's gone now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I will say I
did Ono retire, or did he just retire from?
I think he works at a mobile company now.
There's a lot of money there.
I think it might be fair to say that I don't think Street Fighter V was intended to go on this long and intended to add this many characters and have this many seasons. And it ended with this character, Luke, who's going to be apparently going to be like a big part of the next Street Fighter game, as they just announced. But he's very plain, boring looking. He's a kickboxer, whatever.
That was going to be my next question, is like, what do you think is there? Do they already have something they're going to?
They said they heavily teased that like Luke's going to be a big character in the next Street Fighter project, and we'll be back next year to tell you about the future of Street Fighter. So they basically heavily hinted that like we're going to talk about the next game sometime in 2022. So I think a lot of people have thought, have kind of assumed that, Street Fighter 6 is right about to come out. Like, they've just been hiding it. And I'm like, I don't know that that's true. I would not get your hopes up for Street Fighter 6 coming out next year. I don't think that's going to,
Capcom's not great at holding secrets.
No, they're not. I don't think the turnaround's going to be that great or that quick for Street Fighter. And then the other thing is, I think the other thing too is that they knew they fucked up with the release of 5, and they probably realized they can't do that again with 6. Like 6 is gonna. The thing is though, what I don't know, and who knows because nobody's seen it, but it's like the 3 most important things for a fighting game are presentation, roster, content. And the first two, the first 2, because that's part of presentation. Well, that's actually part of content. The first 2 are more important than the third, but presentation and roster are the most important parts of a fighting game. It has to look like the product has to stand out.
It has to
look good. Yeah. It has to look good. Okay, like nobody wants to play, a shitty looking fighting game, and if they do, they don't want to pay any money for it. So it's got to look good, but I'd almost say like roster kind of like even over supersedes presentation, but like they're kind of neck and neck. You need to have a roster that's got enough characters that people want to play as.
Well, that's
If your
what we were
roster,
talking about with Project L, right?
yeah.
Where it's
If your
looks
roster,
great,
yeah, if
big-ass
your
roster.
roster is too tiny, it doesn't do it any favors. And a big example of this is Soulcalibur 6, which ended its DLC in December of last year. So a year ago, it finished off, and it was one of the latest games to come out, and it finished before all these other games that had been out years before it. Why? Well, I don't think Soulcalibur 6 did itself any favors by having the smallest roster.
Well, it fell off
at
faster
launch.
too, right? Like it.
Yeah, it had the smallest roster of any Soulcalibur game at launch. Like the number of characters that were in game that you could either unlock or play as in Soulcalibur 6 was the tiniest it has ever been. It was smaller than the Dreamcast Soulcalibur 1. So
Yeah, do you think that's because characters are just like taking up more space, more time to design and all that shit? Or do you think that just companies are being lazy?
It's not laziness and it's not difficulty. I think it's money. I don't think Namco had a whole lot of faith in Soulcalibur. Like I think for them, like Tekken was doing well and it continued to do well, and they were kind of more interested in just sort of like keeping that flame going. And this was just sort of like, well, we'll make some money.
Like
we'll
a
have
side
this
project. Soulcalibur's pretty well loved, though. I feel like with support, it would have been.
Well, Soulcalibur's got a weird history because like it was a big deal on Dreamcast. It was huge when Soulcalibur 2 came out. And then like they've had this weird history of shooting themselves in the fucking foot because when they followed up 2, which was on every system and had guest characters, here comes Soulcalibur 3. It's only on one system, PS2. It has no guest characters. It has like Cosmos parts you can put on a custom character, but yeah, it sells less, does worse, isn't nearly as highly remembered as 2 because of that. Like you followed up 2 this big multi-platform launch which did gangbusters with here's part 3. It's only on one system. It has no guest characters, and then when 4 comes out, it's multi-platform again, and they have Star Wars characters, which is more bizarre than anything. But
yeah, who got PlayStation got Vader.
They eventually got them all, like where you could buy the one you didn't have through DLC.
But originally it was PlayStation got Vader, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Xbox got Yoda.
Correct. And they both had Star Killer from Force Unleashed.
Yeah, that's right.
But that did well. It did better than 3, right? And so when 5 rolled around, the people making 5 were very public about the fact that their budget got cut and their release window was short. So they basically like said, release what you got now, not giving you any money. Your budget's getting slashed. So 5 comes out, and everyone hates 5. I hate 5. 5's a piece of shit. And I don't hate 5 because it felt budget or cheap, but I hate 5 because it completely, utterly changed the dynamics, the mechanics of the game, and how parries work, and they cost meter now, and there is meter, and there's super moves now, and all this other stuff. So there's all these like other mechanics thrown into 5. And the thing that most people hate about 5, because that's kind of a me thing, most people hate about 5 is 5 was this 20-year time skip. So the vast majority of the roster of the longtime Soulcalibur characters were gone.
They were dead.
You're dead, cut, replaced, whatever. So everyone hates 5. Everyone hates 5. So Soulcalibur goes into a hibernation. So it's kind of like they shot themselves in the foot. And, had this big success with 2.
We don't know what went wrong.
Yeah, they had big success with 2. Let's follow it up with this dumb idea with 3, and with that doesn't have anything that made 2 successful. And then 4 kind of goes back to kind of what made 2 successful. And then they have 5, which does all these big changes and cuts out all these longtime characters. Everyone hates it. Nobody liked that. So 6 limps along years and years later. But again, it's like it's supposed to be sort of a soft reboot for the franchise. They make it a prequel, like it takes place like right before 1 or something. So like they have all the original characters back. Well, most of them. But again, here's your problem. Your roster's tiny, super tiny at launch. You got to buy most of them later on. So it's just What are you doing, man? It's just, what are you doing?
Not your
So
goddamn job, that's for sure. No. I do. One thing that's always been a thing with Soulcalibur for me, and I don't play fighting games just generally. I mean, like, the only one that I played even semi-regularly would be Smash. And yeah, har, we shit on Smash not being a fighting game. But when I play it, it is. Uh, but Soulcalibur always had, like, the coolest looking characters to me.
yeah, well, when it was on Dreamcast, it had like the best graphics of the day. Like,
Yeah,
when
and
it
that
came
might
out
be. I mean, we owned it on Dreamcast, but
yeah, it was like the best looking video game when Soul Calibur 1 came out. And 2 wasn't no slouch. I mean, graphics had caught up by then, but 2 still looked really good, and it had Link. It had like Link from Ocarina of Time, but like in good
Yeah, that's
graphics
right.
now. So I think what Soul Calibur needs to do, Soul Calibur needs to be like a launch game, and it needs to have like, it needs to be like pushing graphics for launch. Again, it's
like bundled
presentation.
launch or just like a launch?
Just at launch, or very close, as close to launch as possible. But again, it needs to be presentation, and it has to have characters you want to play as, and that's how it works.
Yeah,
That's
that's
how
fair.
and that's what it is. Like, and then the content is kind of like on top of it. If you want to seal the deal, it's kind of, and to me, I'm like, this is what Mortal Kombat does. This is why Mortal Kombat's always super successful. It has presentation. The rosters are usually big, either giant or just big enough. It has enough. It has characters you want to play in it. 11's the bizarre one, because there's some series standouts that they didn't include, like Reptile, which I still don't get. But and then it has content. Mortal Kombat has content. It has a giant cinematic story mode, a campaign mode that plays out like a fucking movie, which is what you want from this shit. And none of these other fighting games have that. And some of them have like really cheap attempts at doing something like that. Like Street Fighter V had this really fucking kind of pathetic copycat of a Mortal Kombat storyline, but it was just kind of weak as hell. Clearly didn't have anywhere close to the amount of budget or number of staff working on it.
Well, I mean,
Mortal Kombat
Tekken and Street Fighter both have animes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess there's got to be some story there.
4 kind of did that, where there was like a bundle with like an OVA movie for Street Fighter 4. I don't know if it was any good. It probably wasn't. But yeah, like 5 was interesting because 5 was the game that Capcom for some reason didn't give up on. And I don't want to like, because I don't want to like just shit on Capcom. This is not a shit on Capcom episode. But I will say, like, you gotta kind of at least respect the fact that they didn't give up on the game. They supported it for like 7 years or more or something.
But there were a couple years there where they didn't really have anything else. I sort of make the argument that had they had those other options, they would have dropped and just.
That's very true. That's a very good point. Because it was always something for Capcom to just sort of like keep floating around and keep
still admirable, still happy about
because Tekken or Namco was not interested in making Soul Calibur 6 anymore successful. And it's funny because like Soul Calibur 6 is like top 3 or top 5 best selling of the franchise. Like, it wasn't the worst selling game in the franchise. It wasn't like 5 or 3.
They dropped it like that.
They're cheap.
Fair.
Honestly, like, they're cheap, and Tekken 7's very successful. In fact, they just announced Tekken 7 sold 8 million copies.
Well, Namco makes Tekken, Soul Calibur, Dragon Ball Fighters. Like they
make Smash Brothers by that same.
Oh, I guess they do. Yeah, so like, I don't know. I guess they had plenty of fish. They didn't really need to worry about it.
I really didn't. So
just drop that shit back in.
I think probably one of my better memories is Street Fighter V. I have 2 good memories of Street Fighter V. Not really related to the game. One was going to Magic Mountain because they put up a fucking demo kiosk there, and we just got to ride rides and go play Street Fighter V.
Yeah, we went to Steampunk Land the same day that we did that.
Yep. So I'm kind of like, I kind of like Street Fighter V. That's a good memory I have, was Capcom setting up just a place, little play stand for Street Fighter V.
That's the place where a guy said, "Yo, you look like Maximilian," and Max was like, "Yeah, I get that a lot." Do you remember that?
Yeah. See, this is good stuff. And then I think another good memory I have of that game was when you and me and some others just said "fuck it" to Evo, and we went to a restaurant.
We went to a Buffalo Wild Wings.
We went to a B-Dubs,
and then we watched it.
They had the finals on the TV at B-Dubs there in Vegas.
Yeah,
and I was like, this is kind of awesome. I mean, I thought it was kind of awesome because I was like, I'm in a sports bar and I'm watching Street Fighter V finals,
and other people were watching it.
Yeah,
like it wasn't just us sitting there.
I thought that was pretty cool, and it was good to get out of that fucking stadium and all that shitty stadium food. So B-Dub's not much better, but
what was the character? There was a character being used in one of the fights we were watching that like everybody was confused because it was not a great character, but for some reason this guy was using it really well, and I'm blanking on it, but he looks like a biker or some shit. I don't know. I'm blanking on which character it was. I just remember that like there was conversation about the character, and it was weird being in a sports bar where like it wasn't just us or people we know talking about a game. It was just like generally being talked about. Weird.
Yeah, it's true. I'm trying to think about who it could have been. I do know there was that one could have been Birdie.
Might have been Birdie.
I think it might have. I think you might be right. I think it might have been Birdie. Because Birdie does look like a biker. I remember, I don't know what Evo it was, but there was an Evo where like they forced the character to put a different costume on Cammy.
Yes.
Because Cammy's butt couldn't be showing on ESPN.
Yeah. That was the same Evo.
And I remember just thinking in my head, I'm like, don't they play women's volleyball finals on these things?
Yeah, and God bless them for it. But also, don't they also have like, I don't know, in boxing matches, ring women still? Like ring girls? Maybe they don't do that anymore, but they used to like do that, right? Where there was like women in bikinis for no reason walking around with like the round number and shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you draw the line at an animated butt. A very nice animated butt. I just don't think anybody was going to send in a complaint.
Yeah.
Like some nice religious mother was like, this is witchcraft, son.
I remember there was a photo op at one of the E3s for Street Fighter V that Capcom had set up, and I remember we were talking to one of the Capcom employees there, and he's just like, yeah, I had no idea what they were gonna do. I just heard that they had hired some talent for the booth, and I was just kind of like, and I was like, well, Street from like, I was like, dude, and like, you didn't have to go through a talent agency or anything like that. It's like I know plenty of cosplayers with great costumes, because there was like a Bison there, and there was like I think a Ken or a Ryu or something. And he's like, yeah, I know, but like apparently like they got really on board with it at the company because someone at the talent agency said like, dude, we got this one model. She's got an ass to die for. She'll be a great Cammy.
God damn. Like, they definitely had a Chun-Li that was killer though.
That's how they pitched and sold it to the company. Like, no, trust me, you want to go through us. Trust me, I've got talent with ass.
You've seen how popular 2B is. I mean, we are a simple race. The human race just loves that ass.
Look, I remember the Capcom guy was kind of like, ugh, what? Like he was like not like super proud of it or anything. He was just kind of like, yeah, just what happened. This is how this happened.
I don't know who's as long as no one's like, if you're not telling the model that they're going to be dressing up like that, then you're an asshole. But if like,
well, and
everyone there's happy,
I don't think they had a problem with it because they were like one of the most like, active, whatever. Like they were definitely, down to be doing what, taking photos and running the booth and doing stuff or whatever. But
yeah, I mean, in the scheme of things, probably one of the easier jobs to have as a model. Yeah. In terms of just like being around sleaze bags or something. You know what I mean? Like models get a lot of shitty situations.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Having a crowd with security, probably not the worst thing, but
yeah.
I don't know. Cammy though. Yes.
So yeah, those are my good Street Fighter V memories, I guess, if you will. We have a lot we could talk about too with Smash Brothers, like, because
Smash,
we did a whole little mini series for the launch of Ultimate, and it was a fun roller coaster of of emotions going through all the DLC and stuff like that. We kind of were. I have a lot of. I remember before the game was announced, I was like, they're just going to port Smash 4. Like, well, why wouldn't they just port Smash 4 from Wii U? Like, why wouldn't they just keep? And I remember people thinking we were crazy for saying that. Me and Max got shit on a lot for that. And I remember saying, like, who in their right mind would want them to who in their right mind would want them to remove characters and stuff, like go back to the drawing board on things? Why would you want to take away stuff from Smash 4? Why wouldn't you want to just add to it? And I remember this one guy who, I don't know who he was in like the Smash competitive scene, was like, are you kidding me? I could think of hundreds of reasons why you would want to do that. And I was like, oh fuck. And I was like, I did not want, like, hundreds of reasons why you would want to cut characters and balance out the roster. Piss off. And then when the game gets announced, it gets teased, and then it gets announced officially at E3, and they're like, everyone is here. And I felt so vindicated. Like, I'm pretty sure I'd already muted or blocked that person at that point, but I was just kind of like, fuck you, Yeah, exactly. Like, fuck you. Like, everyone is here. I think that was still, to me, this day is still one of the greatest sort of
announcements or reveals.
Yeah, just for a fighting game, it's probably one of the biggest statements ever made by a fighting game. Was just, everyone's here. Like, we're making the next game. I am not, and every single character from every single game that has ever existed will be in this game. That was huge.
I don't play a ton of fighting games and stuff. But Smash sort of embodies everything that I actually like about fighting games, and like the things that I liked about them in arcades. Going back to our couch co-op discussion where we talked about that a couple episodes ago, where it's like Smash is sort of just like, it embodies all the things I really like about that. And you can have just like a fuckload of players in a room. Like, some of my favorite streaming memories are when we're all playing Smash, at like New Year's or whatever.
Yeah, and it's very much an anything goes kind of situation with that game, because you could get 8 people, at a time playing the game, and it's wonderful in that
respect.
doesn't
matter if you're good. You're gonna have a good time.
When
there's 8 people, you can be amazing, and I'm still gonna smack your ass with a sword from Ike, and you're gonna go flying off, and I'm gonna get the credit and look like a badass, and whoever actually chipped you.
Flying. So yeah, I mean, I really like everything that kind of like went in that. They brought back sort of a campaign mode. Still wasn't really. I don't think it was as good as Subspace. I don't know. Like, it's hard for me to say, because like a lot of people say Subspace Emissary was kind of boring, and they're not wrong. But I don't think that was a good enough reason to not try it again for Smash Brothers. They did World of Light, which is,
I don't know.
It's not as good. It's mostly just a series of weird challenges on a world. They put a world map in there. And there's a lot of fun stuff they did with the world map, like the Street Fighter 2 world map and the Donkey Kong Country stuff. And there's some good stuff in there. The Castlevania map.
I like a campaign in pretty much every game. Smash might be the only game where I don't actually give a shit whether or not there's a campaign, because again, to me, it is a party game.
Yeah. The biggest failing of Smash Ultimate is the fact that they don't have the full roster unlocked at the start. You have to earn the characters, like it's fucking 1990,
that's
2
or something.
Rough. It's rough, and then
especially
it's the
when there's like 100 goddamn.
Yeah, especially when it's the largest roster in fighting games, and they make you earn almost all of them. It's like, that was dumb. I think that was
never going to be bored.
I think that was dumb, but whatever. It is what it is. I guess it's a reason to go through campaign to go unlock the character, because there's always 3 ways to unlock characters. So
the last time that I got to play Smash, I'm just realizing it was like a holiday party, and I got a migraine in the middle of it, and I had to like Irish goodbye because it was so bad. We had to like leave immediately. I don't get migraines that often, but when they hit me bad enough that they make me throw up. And like light noise just absolutely fuck me. And it was like right before a game started.
Well, we'll definitely have to make that up, I guess, this year.
Yes, New Year's.
But yeah, like there was a lot of. I mean, I don't know how we can not, at least mention just how fucking insane it was that there were so many companies that came together for the game. Not only like they got Konami back on board, So you could get Snake in there, you can get Simon and Richter in there, and that was dope.
I think because it's neutral ground, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it Smash is something where they didn't. I don't think there was like a huge argument. No one character shines over other characters. You know, everyone gets the same kind of treatment. You get your own music, you get your own stage. Not
Yeah.
You know, not everyone gets a stage, I guess, but
and they got some like really like there was a lot of fan cuts. Like King K. Rool apparently was highly requested, you know, from that Smash ballot. But they, you know, wasn't the top, but it was like, oh, people, this was like, you know, this was high up there. Let's put him in the next game. And that was really cool. And then apparently Banjo was really high on the ballot, even though he was a Microsoft character. And then I don't know why people would have thrown away their votes for BanjoKazooie on Smash 4.
Because he rocks.
But I'm glad they did, because part of me was like, wow, I can't believe they wasted you know, people would go for it. But do you remember years ago, twice Phil Spencer said, yeah, I have no problem with Banjo being in Smash. He says, like, we have a working relationship with them. I don't see any problems with it.
So far, he hasn't been wrong.
Yeah, and then like someone said years later, like, would you still be okay with Banjo and Smash from now for Ultimate? He's like, yep.
We need to do a deep dive. We'll do a lore cast purely on Phil Spencer.
Yeah, so that worked itself out. Obviously, I think they worked out Minecraft Steve and Banjo at the same time. Obviously, I did find it funny how Sakurai said he was really dreading having to work with a Western outlet, you know, for approvals and for this and that. And he says it turned out to be very easy, actually. I'm like, yeah, of course it did. I'm like, not that I would say that it's true of any Western company, but like, he was super like, oh God, like, you know, it's going to be so, you know, it's going to be very difficult, you know, through translation or whatever, to make sure we get okay. And from basically my takeaway, my reading, if you will, of the situation was, oh God, we're going to have Banjo hasn't been in a game since Nuts and Bolts, and everyone fucking hated that game, and they didn't even like the way it looked. So we're going to have to go back to, we're going to have to basically make a new Banjo model from scratch. And we're going to have to like redo animations from scratch. We can't use anything from the old games. They're either way too old or way too unlike.
Oh, and they thought they were going to be nitpicky about.
Yep. So I'm like, so they're like, oh God, we're going to have like, what a man, this, are they going to be okay with this shit? And then like, apparently at Microsoft, I would imagine the Xbox division was just like, cool.
Looks great, guys.
Looks great.
That American enthusiasm really came through. We're known for being optimists and enthusiastic.
Because I know for a fact that there are definitely certain characters that are like, okay, every tiny single piece of this character has to be nitpicked to death, and that's between Japanese companies. So I'm assuming he sat there and was like, oh God, what are they gonna do for what are we gonna do for Banjo? And then like okay, like do your best, let's make it. Okay, like what do you guys think? Yeah, it looks great.
I don't know, if he would have looked like shit, I guess then they would have said something, but like,
but he didn't look like shit.
Yeah,
like,
no, if he looks good, I don't know why anybody would be mad.
Yeah. So
next game, Master Chief is in it.
Well, that's the funny thing when you really think about it, because they really didn't do this based off of, I mean, Steve
marketing potential, yeah.
Well, Steve for sure, right? But like, you know, Banjo came out first, and it was kind of like, man, Microsoft is not doing anything with that character, and Master Chief is still kind of like Xbox. Why wouldn't they have put Master Chief in there? And it's like, it's not what people wanted. Like,
well, that, and I think that it being a character that they're not really doing anything with right now makes it an easy, like, yeah, whatever, do whatever the fuck you want. Like, you know, as long as you protect our copyright, I don't know, here you go. You're going to sign a thing saying we still own the character and you can use it? Fuck it, go ahead.
Yeah, and the same thing kind of happened with Microsoft internally as well with Killer Instinct, because their first guest character was Rash from Battletoads. They hadn't done shit with at that point. They hadn't done shit with Battletoads in forever, and it was I was pretty close to that situation. So I remember it being like, "Hey, we want to put a Battletoads," and they're like, "Yeah, that sounds cool." Okay,
great, do it,
sure. So that was interesting. There was some back and forth. Grant talked about with Sakurai saying, you know, like, yeah, like there were multiple sort of like meetings and revisions on his track on how it should sound or whatever. But, you know, Sakurai said like, oh, I was worried that, you know, would would my requests to an American composer, Scottish/American composer, get through the translation? But it turned out really well, and I'm like, yeah, of course it did. Like, it's like I get this weird feeling that, like, because our languages are so different, like they're afraid of having to work through translators on stuff, and I'm like, it's really not that bad, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, given how much business has happened between the two countries in the last 80 years.
Yeah, it's also probably the fact that Sakura's like never dealt with any English speaking people probably ever, and he only really truly had to start doing that now with Smash Brothers, and only when Smash with Ultimate, because now
shit fell over.
Well, somewhere, it wasn't me though.
Your roommate died.
Might be dead.
I sort of wonder with like any of that stuff, if the language barrier is the intimidation, or if because corporate culture in Japan is so overbearing, I guess would be the word.
It's probably column A, column B.
Yeah, but I mean, we have like our corporate culture is overbearing by our standards, but compared to Japanese corporate culture, it is not nearly the same. And our work culture, like we have, American culture has one of the most ridiculous work ethics where we like shame each other for not having, oh, your hobby doesn't provide income. You're a fucking loser. You don't know that hustle. You don't know that life. Like we shame each other for like relaxing and shit. You know, but we are idiot children in that game compared to, you know, the average Japanese employee. Like they work like a lot. You know, 100-hour weeks and shit isn't even that uncommon there. Whereas here it's like you're like, oh man, you're really killing it. There it's all like, you are an average employee.
Well, I will say this. I have seen even some thawing of the ice, even in Japan, where like even that ideology is starting to be challenged a little bit too.
Thank God.
Where like, yeah, like people are kind of like, hey, this is not the way the world's supposed to work. And honestly, I think one of the sort of unforeseen benefits of the COVID pandemic might be how well some adopted to work from home, and some did not in Japan. But there were some places in Japan that were pretty good at it, actually. Square Enix, the Final Fantasy XIV team in particular, found that they were able to adapt quickly, and they're like, yeah, maybe we'll just do this. Maybe for some employees, we'll just do work from home all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would significantly change the style of home they have inside of Tokyo.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a misconception about, like, when you see apartments in Japan and shit, and you're like, oh, they're so small because nobody spends time inside. That's only in Tokyo. Outside of Tokyo, they have full-sized homes and,
yes,
you know, full-size. They have American-sized homes in a lot of places.
Sure, and then there's also like a lot of empty farmland out in Japan too, because nobody. Well, there's some people are starting to move out because there's such demand for it that like some people were like, okay, well, I'm sick of this, or like if they're like
earlier today, I looked at Alaska and was like, if I could get fiber internet and figure out how to just like work remote, fuck it, not have to see people for like 10 days at a time. Hell yeah. I'm in.
No.
What, are you afraid of bears in the cold?
Absolutely.
You get yourself a lever action rifle, 4570 or 357 Magnum. I guarantee you don't have to worry about any fucking bears, right?
Yeah.
Now the moose.
The moose are another problem. Like there was like I was watching something on like was a Casual Geographic where he was just like, you know, how to survive a polar bear attack. Make sure you have a 50 caliber. Yeah. And aim directly for the neck.
Even 4570 will fucking
like,
do it.
You know, anything, you know, anything else, it's just kind of like, well, you know, say hi to God.
You have yourself a 44 or a 357 Magnum.
Well, polar bears are worse than any other bear because polar bears will actively hunt you.
Yeah.
They will follow you.
And that's why I'm saying, now look, I like a lever action rifle because one, I like to pretend I'm a cowboy. I'm still that way. I've got assless chaps. Um, but also because they don't jam up in like snow and shit like that. You know, it doesn't matter how cold it is. And you got 7 shots, and you can rattle off 7 accurate shots from a Henry repeating rifle pretty fucking easy without any training. So
you better hope you see that polar bear way ahead of time and not like turn a corner on it. Otherwise, then you're fucked.
Yeah, well, step 1 to not getting eaten by a polar bear is don't hang around where polar bears hang around.
Well, that's the problem. Polar bears can smell you from 6 miles away, so it may not really, you might wake up and hey, there's a polar bear, next to your house, in your house.
And then hopefully I don't have to because I don't want to shoot an animal for no reason. But if the polar bear ain't leaving my house, he's gonna fuck around. He fucked around. And he's gonna find out.
Or you will though.
What way is cooler to go out? Man dies fighting polar bear. Man dies in his sleep.
Won't be much of a fight if a polar bear's got to jump on you.
If a polar bear gets the jump on
you're not even gonna get a fist up. You're gonna.
Have you ever heard how loud a polar bear walks? They aren't ambush predators, dude.
Yeah, actually, they are.
Like, yeah, on the ice. Like, they're not tromping around some fucking woods over sticks and rocks.
They literally wait for shit to poke, come up for air, and they just.
Yeah, again, are you swimming in the Arctic and you're gonna pop out of a fishing hole?
I don't know, but the polar bears are getting desperate and hungry. They're gonna change might change tactics.
You're in a boat and a polar bear jumps over the side and snatches you out.
Oh yeah, they can do that. They can absolutely do that.
Yeah, but do you know how big a fucking polar bear head is? You're not just like going along in a boat and don't see that shit coming.
Do you know how long they can keep their breath underwater? Like these, this isn't some big, loud, giant fucking thing that like rings bells with every step it walks, and you're gonna hear it from 15 miles away.
I'm just saying they're not.
These are dangerous fucking creatures.
I'm just saying you're not gonna be like wandering around in the middle of the fucking night. And come upon one dressed as a ninja or some shit. They're bright white bears.
Only their fur is.
True, yeah, no, their skin is black. And their fur's clear. God, watch some fucking Animal Planet, okay? That's what fiber optic cable's based. Anyway, the point is that I looked at Alaska. Get away. Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to fight. I'm not going to go try and pet one.
Yeah.
And there are parts of Alaska where you don't have to worry about that shit. Most of the area around like Juneau or a bunch of the islands and shit.
Well, sure, but like Juneau and Anchorage, if you're a gnome, that's a different story.
Yeah, but also if you're a gnome, you got other fucking problems.
You got many problems in them. Well, less since it's melting, but
oof. Well, we like to get into the happy topics here. Okay, so Smash. Any final thoughts on Smash memories?
I mean, it's already come and passed, but it's still amazing that they were able to get Sora in the game. They were able to work that out with Disney. I imagine Disney's a difference when it came to dealing with Western offices or whatever. I imagine Sora was a different story altogether. Well,
because you got 7 levels of pain in the ass with Disney.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they were very, I imagine some of it might have been mitigated with the fact that they're like, no Donald, Goofy, or Mickey, no songs based on any worlds. Like keep it just to the OCs. That might have helped a little bit. But the interesting thing and the thing that I find makes sense to me is that it was Disney that went to Sakurai and said, "Hey,
I didn't know that."
Yeah, so they went to him at an award. Someone pinned it down. Like it happened in like October 19. They went to him at an award show in Japan and were like, let's put Sora in Smash. What do you think? We should put Sora in Smash. And he was like, well, actually, he did win our ballot, but at the time it didn't work out. Like Disney Japan said no. So someone even figured out probably who it was, and apparently it was like this one dude who came from the mobile gaming division and got sent to Disney Japan or Disney's Asian offices to deal with all their Asian mobile gaming stuff, and then he just quit right before this event happened. And I guess he was the guy who was like, I don't understand what the fuck, no. Like, I'm not making $50 million off this deal personally. I don't want it. Or whatever.
Goddamn
whatever the
millennials
reason
on their cell phones.
Whatever the reason was, he was gone. So then, I guess someone at Disney was in Japan and was like, "Hey, we should put Sora in Smash." And Sakurai's like, "Yeah, well, I
I
tried."
fucking know, right?
No, and so it all came together and it worked out. But
I don't know where they go next, though. There's no Smash coming for at least a while. Sakurai might just say no ever again, right? This is the last one.
And that's fine. Although he also said, like, I don't. He's like, he also implied, like, I don't know how. I don't know. I can't foresee this franchise continuing without me. I'm like, oh, I'm glad you're humble about it.
Well, I don't even. Oh, look, I don't even know if that's like an ego thing or if he's just saying he's the main driver.
Well, he said that they tried at one point and then it didn't work out, and I was like, okay.
My dude's real into himself.
Yeah, well, they don't need to though. Like, they can wait till the next Nintendo system comes out. Just port this game with all the DLC over to it. Yes, it'll cost a lot of money. Yes, it'll still have to make sure the whatever the licenses are either renegotiated or updated. But it's not like you haven't done already before. But either way, like, the game has proven itself with 25 million copies and counting. Okay, it's proven itself. It's worth the money. It's going to be worth the money. People will buy it. So I'm not even really thinking about the future of the series. I'm just went out on a high note. And
I would almost want it to not. I don't want there to be another one. I kind of want them to start doing a new one. I'm this way about everything right now, is where I'm tired of franchises. I want more new IP.
Yeah, well, and Smash was never really a new IP. It was just a multiplayer game. It was another one of those, like put Mario as a race car driver, Mario's a doctor, Mario's a tennis player, a golf player, and to me it was like, now Mario's into fighting. But it was better because it was all these different franchises,
bunch of different,
yeah. So Smash doesn't need to be anything more than it is, like a once generation game. Like, they have, every console generation Nintendo comes out with, they put a Smash Bros. Games on it, and that's fine. I don't think they need any more than that.
But Switch is the forever generation.
Oh God,
you're just gonna get a Switch Pro, and then a Switch Pro
like
Plus, and then a Switch Pro Plus Lite.
Tekken 7 is interesting to me because it's sort of like the game that won't die, and it didn't slow down either. Like, it came out long time ago in arcades, and then they had that big. Do you remember when they announced it? And they announced Akuma was going to be in the game.
Yeah,
like, and is part of the story mode. And that was such a big fucking deal at that E3.
The only reaction I've ever seen that was bigger than that or rivaled it is when we were at Evo and they announced. I think it was like Geese.
Yeah, the Geese announcement was insane.
Yeah, people lost their shit. That was crazy.
Yeah, because it was like, oh shit, like we're gonna put an SNK guy in here, and it's gonna be like this big infamous villain. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That was, to me, that's still like, that's probably one of the peak reactions I've seen. Because A, they're able to do it in a big giant public venue, but like B, it was preaching real hard to the choir. Because then they tried to follow it up a year later with the Negan announcement, and everyone was just kind of like, what?
Yeah. Well, isn't that also the time when Harada said, "Don't ask me for shit"?
Yeah, well, he said that for years.
Oh, okay, because he said that at Evo. Like, wasn't he at Evo?
Yeah, he. I don't know. God, I don't know when he first said it, but he's been saying it for years. Got to put it on. He started wearing a shirt that said that.
Well, okay, so I had never heard him say it.
It's not like he only said this once and one time only, and people memed it. It's like he said it, and it. I probably even been on Twitter where he first said it.
Don't ask me for shit.
He saw it was memed and he ran with it. Like, he saw the reception it was getting, and he made it like a bit for him, like in true WWE fashion.
It's a good showman. He's a good
absolutely.
Showman.
So now it's like, I don't even know where he first said it, but like, he's been running with it forever because he knows it's great. But he also can just be like, anytime someone's like, well, yeah, but don't ask me for shit.
So last topic, like wrapping out the episode, something that this sort of like it brings up is it good that a game can drag on and live this so long with so much DLC? Because I know both of us have kind of a feeling about DLC where it's like, we love DLC if it isn't something that was like obviously built at the same time as the game. Yeah, if it was built after the game came out, to continue supporting.
Yeah.
Great. If it was built while the game was being built, if all these characters were done by the time launch was coming, and you just held on to them to be a dickhole, and like milk us.
Which happened to Capcom.
Oh, absolutely. So. I'm sure all of them did it in some form or fashion, but is it good for a game to go this long with this much support? Or would you rather it have been like they had the full roster when it came out? Would it have lived this long if it had the full roster when it came out?
No, I don't think it would have stayed in people's minds.
I think it would have fell off too. Yeah.
I think that becomes part of your marketing and sales is like having this carrot on a stick and dangling it in front of you.
See, I think it's what keeps it alive in tournaments too. Because it changes the game every now and then.
Yeah, and it scares all the tournament players, but then again, that's part of the fun is like, oh god, how fucking broken will this character be at launch? But I think it's good, but I think what you said was kind of the nail on the head there is it a character that's added after development has finished on the base game? Because if it's not, people really don't like that. And they should nor should they, because then it's like, well, then you budgeted and developed and created this thing, and yet now you're charging extra for it. Yeah. So that's obviously a terrible thing to do. Never do that. But and I'll be honest, honestly, man, I'm gonna miss Smash announcements. I've actually said, and I kind of still stand by, like, look, Zora was a great send off, but like there is still part of me that kind of is like, I don't know why they're stopping. I don't know why they're not doing a season 3 of Smash Brothers. If it's like, oh well, the team just wants to take
break. Yeah.
If the team wants a break, great, take a break, take a 6-month vacation, take a 9-month vacation, come back a year from now and say like, we're gonna start up season 3. We'll have a new character and reveal soon. People will be fine with it. Nobody would complain. Because the thing is, season 1 rolled into season 2 with Smash Brothers. It was like Byleth came out in like January or February or some shit, and by June they already had Min Min in the game came out. So it was like a less than 6-month delay between season 1 and 2.
Well, how many characters do they do per season?
They did 6, sort of. So it's like 5. People say, well, actually, season 1 was 5 and season 2 was 6. I'm like, yes, but Piranha Plant was also DLC technically because he wasn't ready at launch. He was offered for free for a couple weeks and then he became a paid character. So there were 12 characters as DLC for Smash Ultimate. Because like if you have a cartridge of it, you don't have Piranha Plant on it. So there's 12 characters you have to download and pay for.
And what, they were like $5 each?
It's $6 each, yeah.
$6 each. Yeah, wow. The extra 12 characters cost the same amount as the full game? Or the game was 70?
The game is 60. And then the DLC packs is 50.
Wow.
And 50, 55, 56 with
for all the characters?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Still, they basically doubled their money.
But I mean, you gotta understand, you're getting like hundreds of tracks of music, some of them completely original.
I'm not saying it's not worth it. I'm just
and you're getting like 11 stages, because the DLC for Smash is actually the most value product driven DLC, because most times you get a new fighter, maybe you get a new stage and one music track with it.
Yeah.
But with Smash Brothers, it was like every character came with like anywhere between 10, 15, 40, 50 Terry came with 50 tracks, 50 music tracks.
God damn.
And his own stage, and his stage had a completely unique gimmick with like the walls that like bounce you off the side unless you hit hard enough to break the walls. So it's a completely unique mechanic, for something like that. So it's like, and you're getting all of that for $6. I'm sad they're not doing a season 3. I think they should have done a season 3. And I think even if they had to take a huge break,
maybe it was slowing down. Maybe sales of stuff was slowing down, and they just like.
I definitely think that happened with some characters. Like, I don't think Byleth sold well personally. Like, I'm like, probably not. Min Min probably didn't sell that great. Probably better than Byleth, because everyone fucking hated the fact that there was another Fire Emblem
there was
character.
Just kind of too many Fire Emblem characters, if I'm being honest. But And
yeah, and apparently that was Nintendo's push, because Nintendo thinks has, because of Smash Melee going all the way back there. Like they've always said, like, well, Smash Brothers traditionally has always sold Fire Emblem games. You should put Fire Emblem games. Like they don't seem to think about that in regards to like the other games as much, but they're just like in their mind, they're just kind of like, oh, there's this huge crossover between Smash Brothers and Fire Emblem. They always use Smash to sell Fire Emblem. It's like now people kind of fucking hate it for that. So
is it because of the waifus
and
the waifus in Smash?
No, they hate it because it keeps it's a franchise that's like, okay, it's fine, but did you need like fucking 8 or whatever many Fire Emblem characters in there? It's like they have almost as many characters in Fire Emblem as Mario. It's like it's the fact that it got so much preferential treatment over dozens of other franchises, Nintendo franchises. And it's like, why is it like, why does Fire Emblem get to have like fucking, like almost 10 characters or some shit, and nobody else gets anywhere near that amount? Like it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. I think it is ridiculous. I think Fire Emblem got a little bit too much love in Smash, if anything.
Fair. Last thought.
I think so.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, like, there's definitely going to be some characters that sold more than others. In
yeah, not surprising. I'm sort of surprised though that you were basically like, oh, you save $5 or $6 overall if you just or almost $20 if you buy the packs rather than individual. And it's like, well, if that's the case, I don't know why anybody would just buy individual.
Well, at the time they didn't because they didn't reveal the characters right away. You could buy the season pass without knowing any of the characters, and Sakurai was like, I really encourage you not to do this. Like he actually said, like, you don't buy the season pass, if you're not comfortable in with without knowing. It was a weird thing because I was kind of like, yeah, you are kind of asking people to take a fucking leap of faith here.
But the thing is like, it's a roster of 100.
Yeah, well, now it's different because everyone knows who everyone is. There is no more mystery left to it. But like, I actually do appreciate Sakurai being like, don't buy the season pass. Well, if you're not 100% sure. Like he actually encouraged people not to, like, wait to see who's in it.
And that's good of him. I'm just saying that from a perspective of a consumer, like, if you're willing to buy any of the characters at all, if any of the extra characters make you happy, you might as well just buy the season pass because, yeah, it's a gamble, but it's.
Well, I mean, it's like, okay, well, if you only want 2 of them instead of 6, that's $10.
Right. Every time your friends come over and they're like, "Hey, do you have this guy?"
12 versus 25.
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know. Just that's fine. Personal preference.
I bought. I never actually bought any of the season passes actually myself. I actually bought them all individually. Well, the first time was because like I was kind of suspicious of like, okay, I have a funny feeling he's going to try to get Hero into the game, and I'm not buying Hero. I'm not giving money to Hero. And sure enough, Hero was in Season Pass 1, and I didn't buy it. So I bought all the characters around Hero. And then Season Pass 2 rolled around, and I'm like, well, I don't know. I'll just buy them as they come out. And you know what? I actually didn't end up buying most of them because Nintendo has that coin rewards program where, like, for every $10 you get 100 coins, like 100, you get like a virtual buck for every $10 you spend on Nintendo eShop.
Okay.
So I ended up, there's a bunch of characters I ended up not paying for, where I just used like the Nintendo Gold coins in my account to just get the character for free.
Cool.
Just because I was buying other games and they were giving me
every game
Nintendo
you buy,
bucks.
you get enough for one character.
It's like you buy like a $60 game, you probably have enough for a character or something. I mean, maybe it's not that good, but there was point was it was like I had plenty of money to for the $6 characters, when they came out. It's like, oh great, I already have like coupon for it. So, which is the way to do it for me. Like I thought that was super cool. But obviously that only comes with spending more money.
Last thought to reference our last episode. We asked what characters, deep cut characters, you'd want in multiverses. And one, I didn't know, the Arnett suggested that they're going to have Venture Brothers characters, Brock Sampson.
That's
Brock
entirely
Sampson,
possible.
and you got to have Dr.
that's a
Orpheus, obviously.
Yes.
And obviously there's going to be Rick and Morty shit. But he was like Rover Dangerfield. This is deep cut.
Yes. This is deep cut. Rover Dan.
So you could have a Rover Dangerfield versus Pickle Rick fight.
Yes, you could. And I remember sitting there thinking in my head, that's a little disrespectful to Rodney Dangerfield to put him in. Then again, that'd be very on brand. Right? If they were like using voice clips from the movie and they're like, oh, that's disrespectful to the memory of this man. I'm like, that was kind of his shtick.
Like that. He would have loved that shit. But as always, we have patrons to thank. If you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames. Dude of the week was Lash Logan, and our producers for this episode are The Arnett, Screwnami, Top 35, Hyper Viper 89, Hockey Kong 64, Ziggy Z, Online Persona, and Miles XVS. Thank you, dudes, and we will catch you next time.
Later, dudes.